Hi, how you doing? Today I want to talk to you about something very important. It's an age-old situation that's been going on for decades, and that's businesses answering the phone. Can you imagine the tremendous loss? I mean, you're already aware of it to some extent. Growing your business slips through your hands every time the phone is not answered. The majority of customers just go away. There was a time, where people left more voicemails, where people had more patience. People get on the phone today, they're busy, and then, they talk to some poorly trained rep or employee of the company. It's rude, is not really listening. They have to repeat themselves, and it's just a poor experience. At some point, people just are fed up and they lose patience. They go to your competitor. They go someplace else. Someone picks up the phone. They get a reasonable person, has a reasonable solution for what they're looking for. They're gone. They're not coming back to you. Maybe never. And you made me think, oh, yeah, I'm losing some, but that's not that many. What does that add up to every year? Over a few weeks, over a few months. That is real money you are leaving on the table that could compound with those leads turning to customers or clients, and then the repeat revenue from repeat customers. And what does that look like in your business? Whether you're running a one-person operation or you have 100 employees. Everybody has a different version of this. Sometimes you get the phone, sometimes that person is busy and doesn't get the phone. Sometimes that person has got 2 or 3 calls coming in, so you're losing people right there. What's your version of this? How much are you actually missing? You have an idea in your head. It's sort of vague, but have you put these numbers, if you put these calculations on paper, this could be a cornerstone to really growing your business, this missed opportunity. I can tell you one thing. Statistics over years and decades have shown even the smallest business of like 5 people are losing on average $126,000 per year through missed calls, as I have described. If you have 30 employees, 50, 100, you're losing a fortune. You're bleeding your business. If you're not just bleeding it dry, you're bleeding it of the opportunities that your employees have, that you have to grow and expand and help others through the value of your products and services. So what's the solution to this problem? Can AI solve this, or is AI just sort of a half solution, or just a funny technological passing trend that will be over in a year or two? And I get it. It's a pain to answer the phone. You've got top priority things to do in your business. Paying someone is expensive today. It's getting more expensive all the time, and it's hard to find good employees who represent your business and answer the phone in an acceptable and professional way that you want. I get it. So in this video, I want to focus on discussing AI voice agents. That is both inbound ones that are calling your business, reaching out to you, and or repeat customers, current customers you already have. Now, this isn't to try to convince you that you need to go and start getting an AI voice system and all these things like that. No, this is just education. I'm going to give you the information, the facts, the statistics, the emerging technologies in U.S. business that are going to affect your business if it has not affected your business at this point. Here's a small business statistic that on average, 62% of the calls to U.S. small businesses go answered each day. 85% of the callers hang up if sent to voicemail. 75% never call back and are never to be seen again as prospective customers or leads for your business. So let's break it down by real dollars. What are we really talking about here? Well, the average ticket in these studies turns out to be $450. Just 2 missed calls per week will cost up to $46,800 per year for your average small business. Now, this is an average of businesses up to 100 employees down to a one-person business. So you can see if you're on the higher side of this, up to 40, 50, 60 employees, how you're really bleeding your business dry and you're preventing the potential of your business. And if you're a business that runs on appointments, the typical business loses a lot of money from no-show appointments. A typical service-based business loses $6,000 to $12,000 annually just from no-shows alone. A 15% no-show rate at $300 per appointment in an appointment-driven business, that's critical. That is profound. And this is related to phone handling, taking calls, calls and handling calls effectively. Appointment setting, appointment rescheduling, that can also be done by voice agents. Imagine the resources and friction points there is in your business right now with a human having to handle all of these from say 8 in the morning to 5. What if you had somebody who could answer the phone for you 24 hours a day and handle these customers who may be busy during those hours where they can't get their matter handled? They need to call after hours or before hours. Do you have someone who can help them and get those leads and get those sales to address those customers' schedules? So where are we at with other businesses in the US using voice agents? Well, in the growing adoption, studies have shown as of 2025, 67% of organizations now view voice agents as their core strategy. Only 22% of small businesses have adopted voice agents. That's a huge gap in the marketplace. AI voice agent market is projected to grow to $47.5 billion by 2034. That represents a 34.8% compounded annual growth rate between this year and 2034, meaning millions of small businesses will be jumping on this new technology. Venture capital funding for AI voice agents jumped from just a few $1,000,000 back 2 years ago to $2.1 billion just last year. We don't even know the jump it's going to do this year, but compounded annual growth rate remains intact. Could this give a business a competitive advantage? Well, early adopters in small business segments are capturing untapped demand and outpace competitors that are still relying on human-only call handling and all the limitations and constraints and friction points that go with it. Have there been any studies that show a return on investment for adopting AI voice agents? Well, here is some numbers from early studies. The metric before AI voice agent, the labor cost per call was $1 per call. After using AI voice agents, the cost per call was 2 cents to 25 cents per minute per call. So you can see voice AI agents handle calls for as little as 2 cents per minute, slashing labor costs up to 90%. Even if it could be somewhat lower in another business, it's still exponentially better than the historical person answering the phone, missing the calls, customers on hold. You know the scenario. So what about efficiency gains, productivity enhancements? Well, these studies have shown that average phone handling time drops by 35%. First call resolution improves 10 to 30%, and call containment reaches 65%. So what about the revenue and ROI impact for businesses that have adopted AI? Well, companies often break even in 60 days, and they see a 300% ROI in 1 year, as we have just mentioned. So the only question is, what other things, points of leverage do you have in your business to get these types of returns on your investment and also break bottlenecks, choke points in your business that keep you from growing, keep you from the higher profits that your business deserves? So here's some real case studies of real businesses that have adopted AI voice agents in their business to solve these types of problems that we've discussed so far. Number 1, Lakeside Family Dental, St. Paul, Minnesota, 15 employees. They automated 60% of their appointment reminders and rescheduling call. Their no-show rate dropped from 18% down to 6% due to using these technologies. And they recaptured $12,000 in annual revenue due to no shows. Another company, North Star HVAC Solutions, also Minneapolis, Minnesota, is a company of 20 employees. This company did AI follow-ups on service inquiries. When they had the AI follow-up on these leads, it converted 18% of these leads in 30 days. And this company added $20,000 in new bookings in just month number 1. Can you see how this is going to transform the landscape of U.S. business? Another one, Green Thumb Landscaping, Portland, Oregon, 12 employees. AI handled routine quotes, estimates, and availability checks. It boosted inquiry response by 55%. 5%. This business recovered $7,500 in lost business over a 6-month period of time. Another business, High Point Chiropractic, Denver, Colorado, 8 employees, automated 40% of their calls. So after hours booking, meaning the customers called in, made appointments. This automated 40% of their calls, freeing 12 staff hours per week. Well, this business actually recovered $9,600 annually in extra session revenue. They could put their employees on other higher value tasks, thereby boosting efficiency and productivity. Where it really gets useful for some businesses is the instant scalability. For example, an accountant or a seasonal business, say like a landscape business, it can handle peak seasons without hiring more employees to answer the phone or hiring a call center, hiring an answering service. What does that cost you per minute? And these are all predictable costs. These voice agents are usually a cost per minute and not a cost per agent. And you get consistency and quality. That's another reason for this explosive improvement in these companies' bottom lines. AI never forgets their scripts. It never has a bad day. It's never in a bad mood. It always mirrors your brand's tone and the scripts that you give it to communicate to your prospective and current customers or clients. So calculate your leak. We're just carrying around these things in our head. We know these are problems, but when you put it on paper, it becomes real. Multiply the missed calls per week and times your average ticket value, and then times it by 52 weeks in a year. That will give you a pretty good idea of the missed opportunities. And then when you consider poor phone experience customers have, you're not there listening, supervising, the line is full, and these customers go elsewhere, the numbers are really exponentially bigger than we're even talking here. Choose a pilot or a test just to get started. I mean, these are just no risk things. There's basically everything to gain and nothing to lose. Just start small. Start with appointment reminders if you're in an appointment type of business, or an after hours booking where people can call in, set up an appointment without a person there. You can have a very risk-free way to get this tested. You have your regular employees during the day, and then you see how this can increase sales after hours on the weekend to handle the calls when nobody is there. Or people are at lunch. Put it on the voice agent when everybody is not answering the phone. Everybody is really on another important project, in a meeting, and so on. Just test it that way. Start small, start easy, start low risk. The biggest risk is just sitting on the fence and waiting because your competitors are taking steps even though you have not seen their final implementation at this point. When you do, you will regret that you have waited so long and have been chewing on this for so much time. Then you could always just train and test. Record a few example calls. AI will learn your terminology in just a few hours and be up and running quickly. Then measure and expand. Track your call volume that's handled. Track the time that's actually saved and the revenue that you recover through these efficiencies and cost savings. And then you can use these to decide on which new workflows to roll out and expand what's already working for you. Imagine handling orders, answering inquiries, scheduling appointments, all automated with impeccable accuracy, freeing you to focus like a laser beam on the growth of your business and what's important to you in your personal life. Get your life back if this phone handling and customer service thing is beating you over the head. Or if you're always managing people who are handling your phones and having difficulties and friction points with that. Just think what your customers and or prospective customers will experience. Their impression of you if they call and a voice agent answers, who's cheerful, always professional, always following your script and your training, even when you're not listening or you're sleeping or on vacation. They won't have a poor phone experience like hold times. People just don't have the time or patience anymore. They don't want the typical rude, inept employees who answer. That drives your customers to go elsewhere. And that's if the phone even gets picked up in the first place. As you can see, voice agents isn't just about cutting costs. It's about delivering superior, personalized service and relationship with your existing customers that leads to loyal, repeat business over time, not diverting them to other solutions that they have in the marketplace. This reduces your overall marketing and sales costs to get leads and overall costs, which affect your short-term and long-term sales and profits in your company. And if it's not clear so far, it's not just cutting costs, it's not just converting more leads to customers and improving and retaining your current customers. It also speeds up your response times and frees your employees to do other productive things in your company. It drives efficiency across the board in your business. Be on the early side of the curve and be an earlier adopter if you want to take advantage of this technology and not be the last one in your type of business or industry to do so. If you wait and see, at this late point, if your industry and competitors are jumping on this, your business could be severely be put behind. If your competition gets a big head start in AI, you might never be able to catch up. The future of success in any business now at this point is artificial intelligence. And AI voice power is one of the first and major developments that businesses will be using. Why? You can see this is the low-hanging fruit. This is a great solution to a very common problem that millions of small businesses across the United States are facing and have faced for decades and have struggled with in many different ways, including hiring call centers, hiring answering services, trying to get an extra employee here or there, trying to get to the phone, trying to use voicemail to make up for it all, and then having it all fall into shambles. It's a small bonus. These systems reduce energy costs tremendously, meaning companies can provide faster and more efficient support, and at the same time lower environmental impact and reduce the company's utility bills. In addition, this technology also provides data-driven insights. You can look into these calls. You can screen how they're handling these calls and how the customers are reacting and responding to them. You can use data-driven insights from the statistics produced by your AI voice system to fuel smarter phone voice strategies. This dual approach not only enhances your client and customer experience, but also accelerates revenue growth, positioning companies at the forefront of innovation and competition. And that is a competitive, unfair advantage. Now, let's not say any more about the proverbial late adopters and those that fall behind and what will likely happen to them. We can imagine that scenario. Lucky for you, some businesses in your industry may still be sitting on the fence and see if this is a real thing or another trending, passing fad. Back 25 years ago, there were a fair number of small business owners and entrepreneurs who were holdouts, waiting to see if the internet was a real thing, a passing trend, or just a fad. They waited years to see if they really needed a business company website, if they really needed email and social media were necessary to communicate and transact business with the community and their market. What happened to those holdouts and late adopters who resisted the internet and waited too long to get a website and use internet marketing? Well, they went out of business about 20 years ago at about the same pace that internet email, internet surfing, e-commerce, YouTube, and social media became prevalent and a part of our everyday lives. Those businesses became more irrelevant and went out of business. Unlike 20 years ago, a business without a website may have been beat by their competitors and took a beating for a few years and trying to catch up. But being a late adopter with AI may put you at much higher risk than being the proverbial late adopter 20 years ago who was slow to get a website, social media accounts, and do any sort of online business with their customers. Your risk for not adopting at least some AI technology today to improve your business is 10x more risky than at the time of the internet not adopting the internet, not believing that the internet is a real thing, not getting a website, not using email, and so on. The future of success in any business now at this point is artificial intelligence. And AI voice power is one of the first and major developments that businesses will be using. Why? You can see this is the low-hanging fruit. This is a great solution to a very common problem that millions of small businesses across the United States are facing and have faced for decades and have struggled with in many different ways, including hiring call centers, hiring answering services, trying to get an extra employee here or there, trying to get to the phone, trying to use voicemail to make up for it all, and then having it all fall into shambles. It's a small bonus. These systems reduce energy costs tremendously, meaning companies can provide faster and more efficient support and at the same time lower environmental impact and reduce the company's utility bills. In addition, this technology also provides data-driven insights. You can look into these calls. You can screen how they're handling these calls and how the customers are reacting and responding to them. You can use data-driven insights from the statistics produced by your AI voice system to fuel smarter phone voice strategies. This dual approach not only enhances your client and customer experience, but also accelerates revenue growth, positioning companies at the forefront of innovation and competition. And that is a competitive, unfair advantage. Again, this isn't a video to convince you that AI voice agents are the future of your business and the solution to your troubles. However, as you can see how this trend is progressing, honestly, you can see that in the future, it's probably going to be quite essential for staying competitive and even staying in business. As customers become habitualized to calling all these different businesses, getting a seamless interaction and a great experience without all the baggage of the past, you can see where it's going. And then if they call a company where it's old school, they're doing business like it's 20 years, 30 years ago, those companies are going to be eating the dust of everybody else. And that's just common sense. It's just the fact that it's going to eliminate all the hair pulling, frustration, and eliminate all the common headaches with inbound, outbound phone handling nightmares. There's enough value right there alone to make millions of companies implement it right now. I hope it's been helpful. I hope it's been informative. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.